We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words that make...
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is the fans forum. It's chock-a-block. We've got that many fans wanting to get on tonight that Kevin is sitting in reserve, our resident coach, who we'll have to bring in and take Darren out to bring him in at some point. So, yeah, packed panel tonight. Welcome to everybody. And unfortunately, we're talking about a defeat. Again, 2 defeats in a week, George. Newcastle losing to Bournemouth at the weekend by 2-0. Solanke getting 2 second-half goals. Newcastle really feeling the pinch now with players unavailable due to injury. But George, give us your views on that game at the weekend.
Well, it was desperate, wasn't it? It wasn't Newcastle United that we know. It was inevitable. If you're piecing together a team with what's left rather than what you usually play with, you're going to get caught out sooner or later. And Saturday we did. It was as simple as that. Those that were called up just didn't cut the mustard. It was straightforward, and I suspect Bournemouth went for it for that reason, because they know what we've had to put up with and what the injuries are and so on. So it was almost I was still confident we'd get something out of it, but we never looked like we would. And the irony, of course, is that if you look at the injury list, a lot of those injuries are injuries they'll probably never have again. I mean, Botman's injury was a fluke, and some of the others as well. They won't get those injuries again. But the trouble is they've got them, and they've all got them together. So we're not just at the bare bones. We're now looking at players who wouldn't normally even think about first team now, and we're having to start them. So, inevitably, if you're fighting on all fronts, then sooner or later you found wanting them. This week we were. Let's hope some of the walking wounded get back during the international break. No, I was disappointed about Saturday, but I'm not going to go over the top about it. It was disappointing, but it isn't the end of the world. We've got to regroup, and I'm still optimistic enough to think we're not out of the European Cup yet. We've still got 2 matches to play, and
all I'm looking at, George, is I listen to you, the voice of reason. I'm watching somebody down below, Alan,
shaking his head. Yeah,
I'm going to promote Alan, and I'm going to put you down there. I'm going to do that, and here we go, Alan, because you'll not be able to wait for 4 or 5 people to have your view. Alan, what's your thoughts, mate?
Well, I respect George, and I admire a lot of people's optimism. I mean, I had somebody have a go on another podcast, about it being negative. I'm thinking, come on, man. I said 1 point, lads. about 5th place. We're talking about 5 Champions League places being up for grabs. No, it's not, because England are 11th in the points table. Italy and Germany are way ahead of us. And because we've been such a shambles in Europe, we're bottom of the league with Man United, our points tally will be poor. And if we don't qualify, there's no way 5th place will have champions. We're behind Slovakia, for Christ's sake. You know, I mean, people just, it all boils, as much as I hate Aston Villa and Man United, you want them to do well this season so 5th position becomes a Champions League place. Getting back to the game, shambles, shameful. But I'm not going overboard because, like everybody keeps on saying, we've got injuries that half of them weren't unexpected. But don't give us this rubbish about being tired, man. Livermenko's never played. Lewis Hall hasn't played. Pope doesn't do a 10-mile run. You know, we've got Ben Johnson. They're 4 young lads. Yes, you might say they're inexperienced, but they're not tired. Give us a rest. Did Jackie Milburn say after 10 games, George, and I'm tired? Heavy pitches. That nonsense. Those mud baths in the 70s, man, lads. Baseball ground, Chelsea's ground, man. There were mud baths. You didn't have a blade of grass at St. James's by November, man. And that was one of the better pitches. Trippier's nonsense. I can understand that. He's frustrated because his game was shite, man. I mean, the young lads accept, but Matt Ritchie, how are you, man? Bloody hell, man. You know, I mean, Santa was giving him way more presents than on that pitch. Bournemouth thought it was Christmas already, man. We had more holes in our defence than a hedgehog's pill. And I thought, bloody hell, Matt Ritchie was in the cenotaph on Sunday. I'm sure I saw him. He's a Chelsea pensioner. I'm sure he was one of them. I'm sure I saw him. Surely. Getting back to the positives, you know, I mean, Lewis Miley was great, 17 years of age. Fantastic. Pope, man of the match. We've had goes at him for kicking out, but he was great. Save at the end was world class. Absolutely. As many more. World class. Lascelles reverted the type, as I always knew he would. That tackle near the end, if it had been Nilzic, he would have been sent off. But the referee felt sorry for him. He felt sorry for him. The great thing about it, lads, we've got a 2-week break. But give you news, lads, so have the other 19 clubs as well. Good, positive things. The 4 games we played, Palace, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Arsenal, and this one, we only got 3 points last year. We've got 7 this year. That's positive news. Am I negative in that? No, I'm not. 8 games. I had a row with one of the lads the other day. The next 8 games, Chelsea, beaten with more than any other club in our history. They're playing well now. They're rolling up to St. James's in 2 weeks' time. Man United, we've never beaten Man United 3 times in a row since the war, lads. 73 years. We've never beaten them 3 times. This will be our 3rd. History is against me. Now, I don't want excuses. I don't want what we're riddled with injuries anymore. I've had it for 50 years, man. Time and time again, man. Get stuck in. We've got PSG. Well, but I've got relatives going. We're going for a sightseeing tour with Eiffel Tower. We're not going for the football, lads. I'll be happy with a 3-0 defeat, man, there. We'll be looking to get a corner, man. Don't give us the 2 games we played, George, in the Europe, man. We've very hardly got over the halfway line, man.
Really?
So, going back, and then we've got Everton who are playing well. Spurs, I don't expect anything off them. Fulham will win. Luton, we might scrape a draw. Nottingham Forest, we play on Boxing Day. We're hopeless at Boxing Day, apart from last year against Leicester. I expect 9 points. To get Champions League football, we need at least 18 or 19 points, lad. That league is wide open. And I said it to Spenny Mag, we've got a chance at the league, and we blew it yesterday. Not rant over. Could go on and on.
Well, that's a good rant, and this is what the fans forum's all about. It's all about opinions and the comments.
Go with the black and white eyes, Steve, and just say we're going to win 2-0. I shook my head when people are saying we're going to beat Dortmund. They've only lost 1 game in 36 at home, man.
You're being compared.
Don't go with this black and white. We're going to win every game. Base it up on facts. And then I agree with you.
You're being compared to Arteta now, and Victor
Well,
Meldrew.
that goes to prove Trippier was doing the same, lads. He was doing exactly the same, defending his players, which is his right. And Arteta, because it was a crap show, and he was doing it, and he was right. We've got injuries. What do you expect? Because the crap behind's no good. And he had a shocker as well, Steve.
Yeah, Trippier didn't cover himself in glory with his performance, but I thought he was right to have a go, and I thought the fan was right. I don't think the fan should have apologised. I think the fan fell into that awful trap of being discovered on social media, and he got hammered, and that's just the way it goes. But interesting, Alan. I like having you on because you speak your mind, you give your own opinion, like everybody else does on this panel. So over to you, Lee. How do you follow that, Lee, on your return to the fans forum?
Get me a taxi quick. Sub.
No, we've got a sub. He's Kev. He's busy warming up. He's running around his garden. I can see him in the green room at the minute.
Probably the opposite to Alan in a sense, because I, like many fans do, I think we were always going to come up against this at some point this year. Now, obviously, I understand Alan's passion, but we've got to be realistic. The fact that a couple of years ago we were looking at going into the Championship, and now all of a sudden we're looking at Champions League football. And Eddie Howe's never managed in the Champions League. A lot of them players have never played in the Champions League. So it's not a cop-out in saying it's going to take time, but Chelsea didn't do it in the first season. Man City didn't do it in the first season. And we're kind of backing on their models. And obviously we're up against the financial constraints that they didn't have. So I just think a little bit more patience. Yeah, Saturday was absolutely dire. And if Pope wasn't in net, it would have probably been 8-0. In real terms.
Would have been
it would have been a lot worse.
Hammering.
He had an absolute worldie. The Trippier thing, I can understand his frustration. I mean, I've not been to the games, lads, so I'll have to bow to your knowledge. But I think Trippier has been a little bit off form, and I think a lot of his own frustration come out in maybe himself, and then obviously the fan interaction as well. So I think we're just going to have to put Saturday down and then go again. But the squad thing is starting. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're coming up to Christmas as well. We all know what that fixture list is like. So yeah, I think we're just going to have to roll with it, lads. I don't think there's going to be any Champions League football next year. Put it that way, because I think other teams, like you say, Chelsea, Man U, I think they're starting to pick up a little bit, and I just don't think we'll match it. But we're just going to have to take it as experience. When we go again in January and maybe get a few more additions. And like again, I hate to use this learning curve term, but it literally is. We haven't been in it for a long time. We haven't even been in European football or even thought about European football. So we've just got to be patient. And I know it's crap at the moment, but we're still there. We're still doing all right. We'd have snapped your hand off a couple of years ago to be talking like this.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, it's a great point you make, Lee. And it doesn't matter that you don't get to the games. We see the games. Most of the games are on TV anyway. But yeah, I think you make some valid. I think you make some valid points. Ian, I think you might have to take Alan out for a bit of medicinal tonight, because he looks like he's going to blow a gasket every time he gets ready to say something. He's annoyed. He's upset. I get it. Alan's done the rounds like quite a few of us have over the years. He's done the miles going up and down the country to follow Newcastle. He's the same as all of us. He just wants success. He wants a team to play well. He wants Newcastle to win games. And like I say, the fans forum is all about people coming on and having their say. And as long as we keep it right in the chat and right between us, it makes for good viewing. What's your take, Ian? How do you feel after that week and that performance against Bournemouth at the weekend?
I sort of understand and I agree with bits of what everyone's saying. I just thought Alan's wife's got his defibrillator warmed up because I thought he was going to have a heart attack then for a second. But no, I can't disagree with the passion, and like Alan said, it's it was a poor show on Saturday. We didn't play well. I slightly disagree with people's talking about Trips not having to go back at the fan. I don't know what the fans said, but it seemed to me like the fan had said that the lads didn't try. And there's a difference between being shite and not trying. They did try, they were just shite. And it was just one of them days. And that's the problem, where all we have asked for and we don't have to look back very far till we have flags and banners around saying we just asked for a team that tries. So we've got to keep our minds on that.
Yeah.
They did try, and sorry, my phone's just going off. They did try, but they weren't good enough, and there's a reason for that. And unfortunately, the reason is we've got like double figures first team players out. There's players that would never be anywhere near that squad, never mind on the pitch, who were playing. And that's not because they're not good players, by the way. Like, I actually thought, like, the likes of Miley, I thought was excellent, to be fair, like, in a really hard, challenging position for a 17-year-old kid. You know, he proved something to a lot of people then, which people have been thinking he's good, but I think he's going to be excellent, but he needs time, you know, and that's something we haven't got at the moment. So, yeah, trips, I would say, for me, it sounded, I'm jumping around here, sorry, it sounded like the kid said that they didn't try, and I think that's what peed him off, you know, like, so I think he's right to say his piece. Everyone's allowed their opinion, but that goes for the captain of the football team as well, you know what I mean? So, performance, there's no point talking about. There wasn't really a performance there, you know. If we'd scored, if Big Jordan scored, then yes, it could have been a different game, but to be fair, just look at the stats. I know I'm not a stats person myself, but they had more than double the shots on target than us, I think, or it seemed like that anyway. And, you know, like, they were all over us. So, yeah, it is what it is. Dust ourselves off, have a break. They need it. There's obviously our tired legs. I know Alan don't like thinking about them being tired, but they're playing. They play at a higher intensity now than they used to play. Admittedly, I take into consideration completely the fact that the pitches now are different to what they were, you know, even when I was playing football. Like playing football on the side of an hill that's sloping like that, and that you can't even run on. Your studs are about that long. Is vastly different to what they're playing on now. But they are tired. You can tell. Trips was excellent, by the way, for the whole of the start of the season, and he has gone off in the last 3 or 4 games. But I think that is down completely to the fact that he's hardly had a break. You know, if he's not been playing for us, he's been away on international duty, and he's played a lot of minutes on international duty as well. So it is what it is. I don't think we can get too up or down about it. Just, you know, hopefully we get some key players back soon. It looks like Botman will be back soon. I think that makes a massive difference to us. Breeds a lot of confidence in the back line. You know, and just crack on. Get on with it and stop whinging about it. It just that's not aimed at you, Alan. That's just overall. I think we just need to put it behind us and crack on. We're still in a good position in the league. We've only lost 1 game since September, and that was it in the league. You know, so like I heard a report actually before on something. I don't know what. I think it must have been Talk Shite that I'd accidentally put on for a minute, and they were saying another defeat for Newcastle. And I was like, since September, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not going to that. So, yeah, over to you, Donald.
Go for it, Donald. Thoughts on the Bournemouth game? Can you hear us, Donald?
Right, cheers. Yeah. Saturday. I thought on Saturday we were flat. We weren't at the races. You know, I mean, understandable given the situation, but we did have our moments. You know, we had that shot from Longstaff. We had that free kick in the second half. If those had gone in, the dynamic of the game would have changed. But the Bournemouth goal you could see was coming because Bournemouth were sharper, first to everything, first, second balls, and they were just that much more sharper than us. But, you know, it isn't Armageddon. We've lost 1 game since September. So, you know, thank God for international breaks. After the international break, we get some of our big guns back, you know, and we go again. So, you know. And another thing I was going to add was, obviously, Trips is rant, you know, we don't need to see any more on that. But there's one moment there in the match when it was in the second half and Lascelles made a clearance or something, and he was going around saying, "Oh, what are you doing?" I mean, that shows another player. The players do care, you know, when they put that black and white or green shirt on. But, you know, it was one of those days. That's football. Some days they go for you. Some days it don't go for you. So, you know, you've just got to take it on the chin, and we go again.
Okay, Barry, thoughts on the defeat at the weekend?
Over to Barry.
It's one of those things, isn't it? You know, we've had some tremendous games this season. Some of the games that we played, I mean, the PSG home game, we looked absolutely class. We made a top of the league French team look like championship. They look like the Mackhams, and I know what Alan's saying, and I can see why they're getting the reasons behind it. It's just we've got half the squad missing through injury. I'm not going to talk about them being tired. The amount of players we've got out injured at the minute is ridiculous. You know, we haven't got a fit striker in the team. I know people keep saying Anthony Gordon plays in centre forward position. He's not a striker. We did this last season, Steve. We had runs of 2 and 3 games last season where we were awful, and we still pulled it round. We still pulled it together. We've got the players, and we've shown on our day we can hammer anybody. Anybody who says we're not going to be in the chasing the top 4 by the end of the season is having a laugh. You know, How will work on it. He'll bring new players in January. We'll be charging forward again. We'll get a few players back. There's only City who are ahead of us in the league. I haven't seen anybody who, when we're on our finest day, we can't turn them out. There's nobody. It's just one of those things. I mean, the whole thing about the Champions League, we've said it so many times on here. You've got to enjoy the experience. You know what I mean? Everybody wrote us off when they saw the league we were put into. They wrote us off completely. Yes, we struggled against Milan away from home. We absolutely hammered PSG. Dortmund are probably turning or appearing to be one of the best sides in the competition. And they turned us over. They didn't destroy us. They turned us over twice. There's lesser teams than that have done that to us this season and last season. I think, yeah, if we don't, I mean, everybody said, oh, we'll beat PSG. Oh, that's it. It's all our doom and gloom. Who cares? I've been waiting 15, 16 years to get rid of Mike Ashley. I don't give a stuff as long as we're there. And like Ian's just said, the lads are trying their best. They're trying to get us through. It's one of them things. We'll still be there at the end of the season. We'll still be pushing for Champions League football again. And we'll get to January. The club, the owners, we've got to look at where we need to improve. They'll bring 2 or 3 players in. And after January, we'll be a different team. We'll go for it again. I think it's just one of those bubbles. Unfortunately, there's a couple of bad games coming in a row. But I say it again, you look at the players we're missing right the way across the squad. And yet again, it was another game without Bruno where you guys said it on the professional, Steve. When Bruno doesn't play, we're shite. Simple as. Yeah. If Bruno's not in that side, there's so many players don't work. We knew Bruno was going to be missing for one game. I'd rather have him missing this game than the game against Chelsea that's coming up. It's just one of them things. It's football. Like somebody said in the comments before, you can't expect to win every game. It's Premier League. Teams are going to do that to you. You just roll on to the next one. You keep going. Like the guys just said, hopefully we'll have, I'm not quite sure how many, the way Eddie Howe's talking, but we'll have a couple of injuries back ready after the international break and we'll go again. Just keep going, lads. Keep behind them.
Okay, good points. Another level-headed, view, different view to others. But yes, someone's connection is crackly. I did ask all the lads to keep themselves on mute when they're not talking. So if you're not talking, if you can stick yourself on mute, lads, that would be appreciated. I'll bring in Spenny now. Spenny, thoughts on the weekend?
After the comment, I think it's just a freak result. Clubs' top teams get freak results and they get beat. They weren't tired. It was just the formation and the players we had on the pitch. They're not used to playing with each other, for fact. Also, we haven't got the strength that other teams have got. It's plain to see. It's nothing about tiredness or any crap you say about that. And getting on the bandwagon because we've lost the game since August, September time. It's a load of shit if you think we're going to be dropping out of the biddy league because of one game losing. Also, Europe, yes, we had a game on Tuesday away. And then we got to get a game on Saturday. Travelling might have something to do with it. Losing players, losing key players. Bruno, Isaac, Bortman, the whole spine of that team's gone. The best players on that team on Saturday were Pope and Miley. The rest, Joe Linton was very poor, and he has been the last few games for me after the City he missed. But like I said, I always back the lads. Simple as that. And be careful. I don't live in the past. We were like this 2 years ago and all this crap. It's about now and the future. And we've got a future in this club.
Okay, Chippers.
Yeah, I'm level-headed about it. I was annoyed at first, but I'm just thinking, you know what? We've still got 26 league games to play. We've got another transfer window to go. Arguably, there's, 12 players out. Yeah, it's a case of at the minute we're being victims of our own success of last season because of the injuries we've got. We never really had these injuries last season. We had full weeks to play games. We didn't have Champions League games. We had 3 weeks all week. We only played one game a week mostly, apart from the League Cup games. But we're out of the FA Cup first straight away, so we didn't have to worry about that. And again, it's one of these things. It's I would soon rather, but but to see us in the Champions League rather than if we get beat, we'll get beat. But we're playing some of the Europe's best. We're not at that level yet, but it's where we want to be. And the only way you're going to get to be again is by playing them, is by seeing where you are at, seeing where you need to go, seeing what you need to get there to beat them. I mean, Dortmund in midweek, you couldn't get a more German team if you tried. That was just Germanness, wasn't it? That was just them having the nous and the experience, whereas we just didn't. You could tell we're novices. We're like learner drivers. We're just novices completely. But on Saturday it was just one of them things where we got beat. As Newcastle fans, we're used to losing games. We've lost games to worse teams. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but I mean, I'm not as low as when you lose a derby game. That I can take losing to Bournemouth, but you can't take losing them games. But it's just one of them things. I don't like what you call it, judge us until we've got our full strength team out, until we've got a Bruno back, a Botman back, an Isak in the team, a Wilson in the team, a Barnes to come off the bench, a Tonali to come off the bench. Obviously, that's not going to happen until next year, but Dan Burn to play at left back because he's our first choice. There's so many things that we haven't got at the minute, and I can understand the Trippier and the fan having to go at each other because I can understand both points of view. I'll be disappointed if I'll travel to Bournemouth and we played like that. And then Trippier, of course, he is trying, but ultimately, if your body can't do it, you can't do it. You can't force it. You can't do any more than what you're doing. It's just a shame that some of them have gone on international duty because I would like them to pull out and literally have 2 weeks where they're not away with their international teams because knowing how I look, Bruno will get injured for Brazil or Joe Linton will get injured for Brazil. Trippier will get an injury for England. It's just the way things are for us this season. Everything we seem to do, we seem to pick up niggles or knocks and we'll get an injury. But no, even for that, we're still 8 points off the top spot, which is nothing. You think that's a big margin? It's not. It's 3 games, 3 wins, and you're top the league. I'm not trying to be optimistic. I'm just trying to be level-headed in the case of, like I said before, that we've got 26 league games left to play. We can't, it's only 12 games. I know it's past quarter of the way, but there's still a lot of football to play yet. And you say Tottenham now, they're having a bit of a slump now. They've lost 2 games in a row. They've lost a couple of key injuries. Teams have still got that. Other teams have still got to have that. So until they have that situation, I'm pretty all right with it. I mean, Villa have got to have injuries, in my opinion. I think all the teams around have got to have that spell where they'll have key players injured. So when that time comes, we've just got to make sure our players are available. It's as simple as that, and take advantage of it.
Okay, you were slightly quiet there, Chip, as we could hear you, mate. So don't worry about it. But just your volume is slightly down to the way it normally is. Maybe check your settings before you come on again. Darren, you're not last because Kevin, I have to bring him in. But give us your views, mate, on the performance at the weekend. How are you feeling after that?
I respect everybody's opinion. I go to Dortmund first. We got past the halfway line. All Champions got past the halfway line. The game I was watching, Joe Linton should have scored. We've had at least we had a goal. Do you know what I mean? I'm just sat back. What was the point of qualifying for the Champions League? People say we're not having the goal. We've had a goal. Do you know what I mean? Yes, we're not doing good. If we don't qualify, I'm not bothered. It's a learning curve. It just shows you we haven't got the squad yet to do 2 games a week, and it takes out the players, and it's hard for them. And I Alan's don't believe the Tynes, but I do. The travelling, everything, you know, it's a lot on players. Go to Bournemouth were dreadful, but and I've had a couple of shots, but they should have won. If anything, they could have won 5-6 because they were up for, they were fresher, they were more hungry. We're down at the bare bones now. Every game we're losing a player. So I'm glad we got like the break now to get refreshed and hope we get 1 or 2 players back. But it's not the end of the world. We're going to take a lot more knocks this season, but we've just got to stay positive because it just shows you how far we've come in the last 2 years, and it's good to see we are competitive. We're fighting. We're not just sitting back. We're having to go at least, but we just got to get behind the lads and support them. You know, I've got Paris in 2 weeks' time. That'll be a hard game, but just again, we're just going to have a go. We get beat. And then we've got Chelsea. Chelsea will be a hard game. They had a good game last night, so that'll be a tricky game. But hopefully get Bruno be back. Hopefully getting the injuries off anybody. And about the Trippier situation, it's a bit of both. I'm saying the fans showing passion, but I kind of agree with Trippier. I say, yeah, they're not giving it all. The players are giving it all.
Well, they're shite.
I disagree with you, mate.
They're not shite at all.
We're not shite. But
they're good pros, Eddie. They're good pros. Don't get us wrong. They get his 10th position in the Premier League.
You don't need to go on the Sunderland fucking podcast, you.
Finish off, Darren, before I bring Darren in. Before I bring Kevin in.
No, I'm saying, Alan, I can massively disagree with Alan. I know, like you saying, but somebody's point you look foreman. Well, good, but the players are doing the best.
What you're saying, Darren.
I don't agree with your strong opinion. You said, the play, you're not having it. Alan, that's your opinion, but you've got to respect other people's opinion. We all think, yes, you don't think they're tired. I think they are tired. And I'm not the only one who said they were tired. A lot of people's opinions say, they might be tired because it's a lot for them to play 2 games a week. You know what I mean?
Well, we're going to say this in 2 years' time, Darren, though. We're going to say this in 2 years' time when we get the Champions League again. Oh, they're tired. 3 years'
I don't think we'll be there next year.
Again, or we're going to say they're tired.
I don't think we'll be the Champions League next year, mate.
No, I agree with you, Darren, there. I agree with what Lee said before. I don't think we'll make it now. Because they're tired.
Get one game, we're going to get in the Champions League. Oh, yeah, man.
No, I'm saying, I don't think, I can't see us having the squad to get in the top thing this season. That's what I'm saying. With the injury list already, yes, we're there. We've got where we are on merit this season. Don't get us wrong, you know what I mean, Spenny? I was buzzing with Champions League. But
long way to go. There's a hell of a long way to go.
Not a sprint, but we're going to take a few knock, boys. And you can accept it.
Okay, Darren, I'm going to bring you back in. I'm going to bring you out for now, and I'm going to bring Kevin in. Good evening, Kevin. Thanks for warming up on the subs bench and waiting your turn. Give us your.
No, I've got a hammy. I'm done. I've got a hammy.
It wouldn't surprise us. I've said the way our injury list's going now, Eddie Howe's probably going to have to start getting members of the crowd to play. That's how bad it's getting.
I'll tell you what. I'll chuck my hand up and I'll give it a go.
I'm available.
Georgie's dusty.
So come on, then, Kev. Come on, then, Kev. Give us your views. A lot being said by a lot of the lads tonight, but we're all got opinions. What's your opinion?
There's a lot to unpack between everybody's opinion, and I agree with most and others, and not going to go into names or whatever. But at the same time, I think going to the Dortmund game, I think we were tactically naive. I thought from the first game, yes, we got done. We got beat 1-0. But I thought we could have went at them a little bit more. Yes, they've got experience. I really don't give a crap if they've got experience or not. It's a game of football against 11 men against 11 men. Give it a go. Yes, I spoke last week about it in terms of the Joe Linton chance. Well, that was the one and only chance. It's like the Arsenal game against Newcastle United when we won 1-0. They only had one shot on target. Well, we didn't create enough, and that's the problem. We're having in the final third is the problem. We're again, it's an American phrase or whatever. It's all fart, no poo, essentially, and it's the desire, yes, but can we have have we got that creative nous of like the Brandt of the world who plays for Dortmund, who scored the second goal, which was a diabolical free kick from Kieran Trippier, leaving one man against one man and everybody else recovering. Then we're going to concede a second, So there's bits and pieces where you can dissect it. From my side of it, where you leave 1v1 in a counter-attacking sense, which is pretty much suicide essentially in football, where you leave 1v1 from a corner. But against Bournemouth, I thought, not that we control the game, that's our game, we control the game, but essentially they played a 4-2-4 when they were in the attacking third. They pushed 4 against our back 4, played 2, and they took a risk. Offensively, they were up for it. They only play 1 or 2 games a week less. We play 3 games a week. I'm not going to go about tiredness of footballers. We're one of the fittest teams in the Premier League, or one of the fittest teams in Europe. So I'm not going to go down the road of, oh, well, we're tired. Yes, physically, mentally, yes, of course we are. It's been a workload. Absolutely, of course it is. Anybody on the panel, if you play 3 football games in a week, I'm sure we'll have niggles, we'll be tired. Of course we will. But at the same time, if you're a professional footballer, that's your damn job. You go and perform. You go and play. Give everything you have. Yes, the result might not be, or the performance might not be what we expect or hope, but others have said, look, results are results.
What happens. That's my point. Exactly what you've said.
Right, but results are results at the end of the day, and it happens. It's part of football. You lose, you win. You take points where you can take points, like away from home. We've always said in the Premier League, a point away from home is a good result. But at the same time, with the squad that he picked, or the team that he picked, was a pretty strong side that he pulled out. And I thought Lewis Miley was composed and comfortable, even though I was watching on the way home from a game and driving, watching it, sort of. Then I seen the second half, and then, it was just sloppy. It was very disjointed a little bit in terms of roles and responsibilities, but which is expected when you pull a team together of Lewis Miley, who's 17. You've got Lewis Hall's 19, who's playing left back. You've got, trying a 17-year-old trying to dominate in midfield. So there's certain things you maybe question Eddie Howe in terms of his selections. And yes, play those players, but they're all good enough. But again, it's the roles and responsibilities. So in terms of a positive, we're 8 points from top place. I'd stayed away from social media after the game. I completely did, because yes, I was frustrated, I was agitated, I was disheartened. Not that they didn't try; they tried. They work hard. They give everything. Like Eddie Howe's phrase, they empty themselves. Yeah. If you empty yourself, and Alan, as a runner, if you empty yourself and give everything you have, then that's all you can give.
Yeah.
True. If you can't give any more, you can't give any more. Performance is performance. I tell my players, yes, results are results, but I'm more worried about the performance and how we control games and how we perform in the game. Performance wasn't great. However, we were lackluster. Yes, it was, again, disjointed. It just didn't, there was no flow. Yes, we miss Bruno. Of course we do. But at the same time, other players like Longy and Sean Longstaff and Joe Linton should take that mantle and drive the team forward. and be that senior pro. Kieran Trippier, yes, you had a good fan. Well, look, if I'm pissed off and I had a crap game, yeah, I'll be pissed off too. If somebody give me crap, absolutely. I'm going to give something back. Look, I have nothing. Fair play to him. You know, one lad's had a few scoops, and that's fair enough. Look, we can have that dialogue. That's fine. We're the critical friend, as Mitch says. We're the critical friend of the club. You know, look, if it's crap, it's crap. We'll tell you. You know, we will speak with our feet if it's even worse. You know, we'll not even show up. You know, so again, it's just been over the past 3, 4 month, we'll call it. It's been kind of disjointed, kind of not square pegs and round holes, but it's not the round hole in the fucking round ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's disappointing, but at the same time, look, we're sitting 7th. We can push on after this international break.
It was always going to be tough, lads. Mr. Ice, I never say his full name for obvious reasons, says, be patient, Geordies. Took King Klopp years to get us to the top. This will be our year, not yours. You'll never walk alone. That's our resident Liverpool fan who pops in from time to time. Good to see you.
I wonder if Mr. Ice has ever emptied himself on the pitch, Kev.
Ask him how to lose, Lord. Ask him how to lose his.
Dear me, moving on. Ian, you little tinker. 20 minutes to go. I'm going to play the ads at the end, folks. George, look, from our perspective, it's a defeat, and there may be a couple more defeats coming with these injuries we've got before we start seeing Newcastle put a run together again. I'm not too downhearted. I've already said that, but I think one thing I've said, and I've repeated it a few times now on the show and on the breakfast show on Toon Radio over the last couple of weeks, I won't be disappointed if we go out to Europe. I don't want to end up in the Europa League. I really don't. I would rather go out of Europe altogether, concentrate on the Carabao Cup. Hopefully we get our squad together for that quarter-final against Chelsea, which we know is going to be a hard game. Get through to the semis. Suddenly there's a bit of a boost, and then finish as high up the Premier League as we can. If we get Europe, great. If we don't get Europe, if we just miss out, again, I won't be too disappointed. Win the Carabao Cup, you qualify for Europe anyway. What is your feeling now, George, as the injuries pile up? Since we last spoke properly on the Amigos on Friday, Almiron's out for 2 or 3 weeks. Callum Wilson's out for 2 or 3 weeks. Yes, we might have Isak back for the Chelsea game on the 25th. We may well have another player back, but we are massively, a massive injury list, George. Is Europe really still something you want to focus on and want to be involved in? Would you not take a drop out of the tournament now and chase something realistic? George? George, you need to unmute yourself. That's it, mate.
Yeah, that's it. No, I wouldn't. I'm a great believer in if you're up at the top, you want to stay at the top. You don't want to be hanging around the bottom all the time. Once you're there, you want to stay there, and we should do everything we can to make progress in the European Cup. And if it doesn't happen this time, well, yes, we'll have to think. I mean, your Carabao Cup would get way, and so we could concentrate on that. But I would want us to make as good a fist as we can of the European Cup and the European adventure that we're on. As I say, once you're there, you need to stay there. Otherwise, you get forgotten, and you get into this. Somebody's already said it. You get into this attitude where second's all right. Second's never been all right for me, not for myself or for Newcastle United. So I want to see we'll have a real go and stay in the competition.
Okay, Alan, what's your views on what I've said about the European adventure? Would you be happy with that?
Yes, I want the European being there. I want to be fighting. It's just the players that we have. Do they believe they can do it? In 2.5 weeks' time, when we play PSG, do they seriously believe that we can do it? And that's the question, Steve. The big game against Chelsea, and when I say it 2 weeks' time, in the Carabao Cup, do they believe they can actually win that game? That's what it's all about for me. I don't want to be in Europa League in one way, because if we're complaining about, tiredness and travelling and all that, well, got news for you, lads. It's Thursday and Sunday if we get into Europa League, and there's more games. So if we're struggling now, we're going to be struggling in February, March next year with the Europa
but
League.
none the last stages though, because you're in the round of the 16, so there's less travel.
It depends, Kevin. I thought it was like the last 32, so you still had still more games to do. So you still had still had to play Thursday and a Sunday. So it would still be a drain on resources if I complain about it now.
The same as playing Wednesday and Saturday, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And this is
Wednesday, Saturday, yeah.
This is what my point going about. If we're complaining about tiredness this year, and if we don't make Europe this year, say we finish 7th or 8th, in 2 years' time, if we qualify again, which I hope in the Champions League, we're going to be complaining, like I said to Darren before, we're going to be complaining about tiredness then. So I want to go, getting straight to the point, Steve, I want to qualify for the Champions League, the last 16. It's there. But whether the players believe they can do it, that's where I'm getting at, lads. I'm not being negative when people keep saying I'm negative. I'm being realistic with the resources, and I agree with a lot of the lads here and what Lee and Ian and Kevin and Donald and Barry say, and Darren and Spenny. I want the best, and like George said, I want to be number one. I don't want to be like that Scouser saying it's this year, it's not yours. I've got about 20 good years on this planet, and I want to see a trophy before I'm in the Never Land. It's as simple as that. And I'm desperate, lads. I've come away from Shrewsbury getting beat 3-0. Maybe it's next year, lads. Maybe it's next year. I want it now, lads. And stuff the injuries. Get going in 2 weeks. I want to stuff Chelsea. But that's where my negative side. Will they do it, though? Will they do it? Yes, I want Europe, Steve. I want to bloody win the thing.
Okay, Lee, would you like to dip out of Europe now? And if you had the opportunity, you need to unmute your mic, Lee, because as everybody has to mute it. Don't forget, just for the feedback. Go on, mate.
Kind of mixture of the two. So we can still qualify in the Champions League. There's still 2 games, so that's obviously got to be top prize. Of course, we want to stay in it, but I don't. Just to disagree with a little bit what you said about the Europa League, we've got quite a lot of younger players who've not played in Europe. If we went into the Europa League, at least it would condition them for next year for doing the same again. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, we're going to get additions in January. Now, let's say again we get a couple of young lads or a couple of players who've not experienced that. At least if we're in the Europa League, we've still got a chance of winning it, which will get you Champions League football next year. So I think going out of it is kind of, I don't know, I think it's pointless. I think we might as well stay in it as long as we can. But I know what you're saying about winning a trophy. Obviously, the Carabao Cup's going to be possibly our best chance. We don't know yet, do we? But I don't see it as a massive negative going into the Europa League. I think it could be used wisely because the injuries are going to come back. We're going to add. So, yeah, I'd try and stay in it as long as we can. But obviously, the big prize is the European Cup, Champions League. So we can still do it. So let's go for it.
All right, Ian.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Lee. I do think I see both points of view, to be honest. We'll have to just see what happens because obviously we're dropping a player every game now at the moment, aren't we? Miggy's now got his hamstring injury, so that could be another 3 months or longer even. It just depends on what it is, but could be a nasty one as well. Get through to January, see where we are, and a lot of it will be, I think, based on what competitions we're in as to how much we spend. I know people, journalists are saying we haven't got any money to spend again in January, but it's got to be a load of rubbish because, all the new sponsorship deals that are coming in, and it's on a 3-year period. So it moves along every year and, we haven't overly spent up to now. So I think there's still some room there to sign some players. A lot of these players as well have got freak injuries, which I think someone said before. I don't know whether it was yourself, Steve, or somebody else said. They're probably not likely. A lot of these freak injuries aren't going to reoccur again. So they're not ones that we need to worry too much about as long as we bring them back at a reasonable pace. Got players to come back in. I know we've got a lot out, but I would say overall, let's try and stay in anywhere. If we go into the UEFA, then we go into that, like the Europa. Sorry, and we could win that competition. There's, when you look at the teams that are in it, that is winnable for us. Right. But yeah, it's one of them where I'd rather be in it than not in it. But I do understand the thought of if we weren't in it, we can concentrate on getting higher up in the Premier League. So see what happens. On the fence.
Still raising our profile, innit? Even just being in the Europa League. So, maybe one or two players heads, we don't know.
And it is experience, like you say, of European football. Some of these lads, even if we don't go very far, some of these lads need that time on the pitch, and it's only going to improve them in the long term.
Yep. Okay, Kevin. Before we bring Darren back in, we'll go to you next.
Yeah. Repeat the question, mate, because I've been looking and writing stuff down.
Yeah, we're just obviously the European journey. I wouldn't be bothered if it ended with an exit. I don't want to go into the Europa. I'd rather have no European football after the Champions League. We've experienced, we've earned our right to compete in it. We've competed in it. Right. But for me, I would prefer to concentrate on the Carabao Cup, maybe have a run in the FA Cup, and concentrate on our league position this year and get back into the Champions League next year. That's what I would prefer to do. That's my view. Would you be bothered, or would you like to see us go into the Europa if we do fall at this first hurdle in the Champions League?
Absolutely. European football is European football at the end of the day. And I said round of 16 and it's round of 32. So, Alan, you're right. So I hold my hands up. So anyway, either way, it's European football. And that is equated to money coming into the club. And that is experience for those. Yes, it might be a stress on the squad. That might be a stress on the full play, everything involved. However, you look at Manchester City, you look at all the top six. That's what they had to do to get to where they are now. You've seen in the past, for argument's sake, Man City losing 2 or 3 games and their world is ending. But all of a sudden they'll go on a run after the fact and bounce back. So I want to be in me and George agree, and I said the other day, I want to be in every competition that we can, and go and compete, and go and win this, and go and win the thing. Regardless if it's the Champions League. Yes, the expectation might be we can't win the Champions League this year. Absolutely, we probably won't. But if we go into the Europa League, there's a chance and there's an opportunity. The Carabao Cup is, like I said the other day, is in terms of that's our biggest opportunity to go and win a trophy. FA Cup's going to be an opportunity. Once we get players back in terms of recovery and injuries and things like that, then there's a big push from after January to go and actually be pushing for top 4, and I believe we can beat top 4. So. And I think Eddie has got his head screwed on in terms of managing players. It's just very difficult at the minute in terms of being a manager. Yes, we've got, however, like a full squad of injuries. But at the same time, once those players come back in the back end of the season, when they're actually, American phrase, the rubber hits the road, when we actually get everybody back fully fit or to playing standard, then we will actually be probably one of the top teams in the Premier League. It's just unfortunate, and the weird injuries that we've picked up over the course of the past month or so. Never heard of. Mitch has talked about it. Longstaff, I was worried about him because he just dangled a foot out. Like it looked like he had an ankle injury on at Bournemouth. So that could have been a worry. That could have been a problem. So he's got to manage everything. And so therefore, I believe Eddie Howe's got his plan in place of where and what he wants to achieve. It's just going in again, executing what he wants. And everybody knows what that's about. So we'll see what happens. you know. So again, I'm positive going forward. I'm looking for top 4, Carabao Cup final, hopefully lifting it, a good run in the cup. If we get in the Europa League, look, we're getting the Europa League. Look, it's not a bad competition. It is what it is. But again, it's European football that attracts footballers and top-level footballers
right.
to the club.
Absolutely.
All right, great
Greedy
stuff,
little
Kev.
duck. Greedy little duck, Kevin.
Yeah, got about five or 6 minutes
I'm a
left.
proud lad, George.
Kevin,
Yeah.
I'm going to take you out now and bring Darren back in. Thanks for your input.
Cheers,
tonight,
lads.
mate,
Have a
as
good one.
always.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Cheers.
Donald,
See you,
give us your views. What's your situation with regards to Europe? Are you like me? Would you just rather move on and concentrate on the league or the Carabao Cup and just get out of Europe at the first hurdle?
I would say try and be in Europe for as long as possible, because I'm thinking of the old. Being an accountant, I'm thinking in money terms. The revenue that brings in, more revenue comes in, the better quality of player we buy, and also in terms of more revenue coming in, we improve our FFP standing if it's still, before they decide to get rid of it. And FFP means that the better our FFP standing, the more we can spend on, getting the level of players we need to be, in Europe season in, season out. But, let's give it a go as best we can. And as Alan alluded to earlier, it's about self-belief as well. Do the players believe, we can go that step, because I think because it's that mental side of football. When you cross that white line, you've got to believe that you're as good as your opposite number, and that you're not inferior, and that's a big thing. But for me, being if it's Europa League, fine. It just means we've got to make sure we tune in on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday or a Wednesday. But
All right.
So that's what.
All right.
Over to Barry.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go to you, Barry. Then we'll go to Darren. Go on.
I think for me, the January transfer window is going to be huge. I think if the one point injury list that we've had, I think it's going to push the club into investing in players. I know people say this ludicrous story, we've got no money. It's like, what a load of crap. You bring players in, you stagger the contracts, you do whatever. I honestly think we'll bring in 3, if not 4, really good players in January. And the injury worries will all be forgetting about. We'll just move on from there, and we'll batter a few teams towards the end of the season. I think we've just got to get to that stage, and we'll move on. I mean, one thing that I love from Eddie Howe more than anything else is his philosophy. He would take it one game at a time, Steve. If that's a European game, great. If it's a league game, great. If it's a cup game, great. You look at one game at a time and you move on to the next one. I agree totally with Donald. We want to stop in the best competition we can for as long as possible. But like you, if we get knocked out of the Champions League, so be it. We learn from the experience, and hopefully we'll be there again battling next year. But for me, for this season, for the first in a while, I can't wait for the January transfer window. Because if half of the rumours have got any truth in them that are knocking about the club, we are going to sign some good players in January. And watch out the rest of the Premier League.
Sorry, we're linked with former players this time. We're linked with former players this time.
I'm already shy. 46 already, and we're not even in mid-November yet.
Spenny?
I'm a great believer when you're in a competition, you're there to win it. So I want us to do our best. I still think we'll beat Paris, and I still think we'll beat AC Milan. Paris is more of an individual players team. They don't play as a team. And I think we'll be back ready to go for Paris. For me, we should be going all one blazing in each 4 competitions and see how it goes. If we do get knocked out, we should go all blazing in the next competition. I still think, yes, we will buy players in January, like Barry said, and we'll buy big as well. We'll buy more than we are in the summer. There you go. I've said that in the last few months on this particular show as well. And Isaac's back on after the international break. We've got Bruno back from that team where we played against Bournemouth. We've got maybe Botman. Nobody knows what the hell's going on with Botman yet. And we've got a couple of more as well. For me, we are all going blazing. Whatever competition is, we'll be there.
Okay, Darren.
I can't agree with you a little bit, Steve. If I want, like as I said, I'm 22. To be fair, I like the competition. Gone, do your best, 100%. But me personally, do I want UEFA Cup? No, but do I want to compete for the UEFA Cup? Yes, because that's what Eddie Howe's about. He likes to compete. Everything he goes for. He likes to get the players drilled when they cross that white line to go to win the game. So as long as we have a go against PSG and everybody will play, just have a go. If we're going to the UEFA Cup, we'll go to the UEFA Cup. Again, it's 2 games a week. If we want to play future next year, it's going to be 2 games a week. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's not the end of the world. But if we get knocked out, we get knocked out. Just enjoy the moment, enjoy what we got. Because like you say, because where we were a few years ago, we weren't even getting a sniff of this, were we? So it's good to hear this sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So how well, lads? Actually, we were fighting relegation. Everybody was neck doom and gloom. Now we're whinging about playing Champions League or UEFA Cup. Yeah, what a massive difference. Just enjoy the moment. Whatever happened. We get put in UEFA Cup. Go and have a go to the UEFA Cup. You know what I mean? That's my motto.
Chippers, final say.
Well said, Darren.
Well, for me, I want us to keep going, but if we don't keep going, then we've got to win the the League Cup to make up for it for me, because that's for revenue purposes. So I want us to stick at it, but if we don't, go guns blazing for the League Cup.
Okay, great stuff. Great fans forum tonight. Some great views, great stuff in the chat as well. Thanks to everybody for taking part. We are back tomorrow a day earlier. Geordie's here, Geordie's there on Tuesday
Good to
night,
see you,
6
lads.
o'clock.
Good to see you.
Now, good night.
Hallelujah, pleasure.
Okay, Darren.
Great seeing everyone.